everyone. Thank you for your patience. As you know, sometimes things happen behind the scenes, but we do have Nicole here. We do have her ready to come on, and I'm really excited to be able to hear from her. I just want to say, Naruto said Dave Rubin used all three of the Daily Wire's talking points. Of course he did. Of course he did. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And then Chicken Canada says, ask about how Candace recorded Nicole's phone calls, please. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to hear more about that. But guys, we do have an amazing guest today. It is Nicole Arbour. And if you did not see the stream that I did yesterday, Nicole posted a video talking about the truth about Candace Owens and her story, and it was just so shocking to me, but not really, if I'm honest about it. And so I'm really excited to hear Nicole's side. And we only have a little bit of time with her today, so we're going to jump right into it and we're going to go quick. And maybe we can bring her back in the future if we want to ask more questions. But I do just want to let everyone know that this will not be my last stream of the day. It is my first stream of the day, and we will be going live with a Tim Pool watch party for Steven Crowder tonight at 8 p.m. I don't normally do these, but I can't help myself. I have to do it. And we're going to watch it together. And so you guys are welcome to come back. I'm probably going to start the stream around 7:30 just for a little pregame. And then we're going to watch Tim Pool and we're going to see what Steven Crowder has to say. And I'm on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait. And I just want to direct you guys to, if you are wondering why I am talking about the quote unquote drama around Tim Pool and not Tim Pool this time, Steven Crowder, the Daily Wire, Candace Owens, what's going on? I did write an article for my Substack that I posted late last night, why this drama matters. I don't think it's just drama. I think this is foundational for the movement. I think when you have influencers that are doing really bad things and behaving in directly contradictory ways to what they say they care about, it's a bad thing. So check out that article on my Substack if you want to know more about that. But really, I want to bring in our guest of the hour and just get right into it. Nicole Arbour, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having me. I told you a little bit off camera, it meant a lot seeing an actual psychologist kind of giving an analysis on this. And I don't care if people have a bajillion followers, if they have 12 followers, if I think they're dope and I think they care about truth, I want to talk to them. So I appreciate you and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. I think that telling your story was so brave, and it's actually interesting that it seemed like, at least with Candace, it started off for you when Candace went after Chrissy Teigen, and you didn't like that she was engaging in cancel culture. And that's actually funny because I wrote about that in my book, where that was one of my first early indicators that something is wrong in the conservative movement if they're engaging in cancel culture while claiming they don't like it. So, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. So I actually got tagged in one of the posts egging me to back up Candace basically and canceling Chrissy. And I went, no, we don't do this. Like Candace had on her first few episodes a thing on her show called Cancel Corner, where we make fun of all the stuff that the left tries to cancel. And one of the foundational principles of conservatism, if that's the word, just for everybody watching, I'm a Canadian and I'm a proud American immigrant. But a couple of years ago, Dave Rubin was like, Nicole, I think you're a libertarian. You might be conservative, but I think you're at least a libertarian. And I was like, I don't really know what that means, but I trust you, Dave Rubin. You know what I think. So then conservatives kind of embraced me. I never jumped over to the right ever. I just was like, oh, okay, maybe these people are being misjudged. So I'm going to give everybody a shot. But then when I saw this cancel Chrissy thing, I was like, hey, no. That is exactly what we say we don't stand for. And whether I agree or disagree with what Chrissy Teigen did, which by the way is disagree, I don't believe in canceling people because everybody deserves a chance for redemption. Even someone who murdered someone, I think they go to jail, they serve their time, and then once they come out, they revisit into society. I think that's how we've set up society. But I don't agree with canceling people and messaging Target and saying drop her products and all these things. I think we as consumers can decide if we want to participate by not buying her products anymore if we don't agree with her. So I didn't like the vitriol. I didn't like the nastiness. And I was like, Candace, stop it. And then I made a video called Cancel Culture is for Pussies. It was just a quick little video because I believe that. I think it's the kind of like the pussy way out. And Candace got really mad, unfollowed me. And I was like, Candace, you unfollowed me because I posted a thing because you're trying to cancel someone and I won't play with you. Like, I don't want to play mean girl with you. So we ended up having a chat about it because she was obviously really angry. I challenged her to a debate on the topic, and then I was going on to Daily Wire the next day to have a debate with her on the topic. So that's kind of how that started.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chicken Canada said this is very important. Daily Wire and Candace are hypocrites, period. Candace Owens acted disgusting in both situations I've seen. I am so saddened by her. And I mean, I think that what was so compelling about the video that you put out is you showed the raw footage of what actually happened when you went on Candace's show at the Daily Wire. And I gotta be honest, I didn't really know who you were, except that I had heard that you stormed off the set of the Daily Wire. That was the only thing that I knew about you. But that wasn't really what happened, was it?
No, and isn't that interesting? And this is why, and I'm not even mad at people when they say, "Oh, it's drama. This is drama." It's like, no, this is my real life. It involves stalkers, and I lost count of how many calls to the police and having to move and real life scary situations that Candace exploited on her show. And then made people think I stormed off her show via a quick edit, which again is fake news. So that's exactly what Daily Wire says they don't stand for. It's exactly what Candace Owens says she doesn't stand for. The right says they're against fake news, but then they actually created it and manufactured it for ratings on her show. And as far as I know, I gave her the highest ratings of any of her episodes she had by doing that. But I never stormed off the show. It didn't happen. Oh no, did you freeze? I see you. Oh no, I can't tell if you're frozen. I don't know if people can see me.
Hey, I am back. I'm sorry. My power literally just went out.
Oh no! Whoa, that's weird. It's
That is one of
probably
my
Daily Wire.
Oh my God, the Daily Wire is sabotaging everything, so I do apologize for that, but, so you were about to go on the Daily
Oh,
Wire,
good.
and what happened?
Oh, I don't know which part you heard or not. Yeah, so I was going on the show, and when I got there, well, we talked about doing like a one-on-one debate, but Candace and I were all good. We had a phone conversation the night before. We talked it all out, and we were gonna go for dinner, and we're good to go. And I had confided in her about some really scary stuff that was going on in my life, being like, I understand, real things happen. We're good to go. I go on the show, and she didn't even meet me backstage, which was super weird. Um, and they made me sign this form that they didn't have me sign other times I've done stuff with Daily Wire, which was basically making it so I can't sue them with whatever they're about to do. And I'm like, that's sketch. First
That
of
should
all,
have
that's
been red
sketch.
flag number 1, right?
It was a red flag, but I'm like, no, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go debate her on this topic because she'll go on and say I chickened out or something. Um, but she wasn't there for me to debate the topic with her. I started debating, but instantly she went to personal attacks. She couldn't separate me from the topic. And when I was clearly, getting a reaction from her audience in the studio because they understood where I was coming from, she just dove in and went into personal attacks, named the names of my stalkers out loud that she knew at that moment I had a restraining order against. She knew for a fact because we had discussed it privately. And she knew that I couldn't talk about that because victim services had told me not to talk about that. And they were doing everything they could to keep me safe. And those of you who watch that video and see her mocking me for going to victim services, that was one of the hardest parts of editing that video is watching her mock me. Like the stuff I learned from the men and women who work at victim services about why people don't come forward and then what happens to them and what happens to them when their stalkers are empowered because people are too scared to come forward or they're going to be called crazy or they're making it up or whatever it might be. It broke my freaking heart seeing how Candace made fun of me for going to victim services because people need it, you know? Yeah, so she started naming the stalkers. She went in on personal private details. And then here's like the huge kicker that people keep relaying to Steven Crowder is that she alluded to taping our phone calls.
Yeah.
And then she tried to air it on her show. So after I had already told her, I'm like, this was making me uncomfortable, I expressed a real firm boundary that I can't do this. I told the producers, we can't do this. It had nothing to do with canceling Chrissy Teigen, which was what I'm there to debate. She just went on personal attacks that she knew would make me actually scared for my life, could get me in physical danger. I was already in physical danger, and she did it anyway. Yeah, and she asked if she could air the calls. You caught it. Actually, it was super interesting that you're like, she didn't say no. She said then we can't air it. And she would have nothing to air if she hadn't taped the convo.
Yeah.
And there's
And
a big difference. Go ahead.
she had it. I mean, it's like I cannot even imagine the gall of someone. Well, I can because it's Candace Owens, but like, she had it ready to go in case
Yeah.
you had given her permission to air it. And it was like, the shock in your voice when it's like, like you must have realized it in real time. Like you recorded our phone calls. What was that like?
That was horrific. Like I'm using strong language, and if people don't know me, what up? I'm Nicole Arbour. I'm a comedian and recording
Mhm.
artist. This isn't my thing. And some people have been like, "Oh, you've been so much drama the last few years." All of that drama goes back to this one group that includes Candace Owens. If you actually watch my video, it all is the same people doing the same thing, and it's not my vibe. So even talking with strong language, like it was horrific or I was triggered or any of the stuff I'm saying, this is like new for me. This is a new way to express myself after a lot of therapy um, because of these situations. But yeah, I was like disgusted. And I was just like, okay, she's trying to get a rise out of me, clearly. What's
Yeah.
happening is really disgusting, but she really wants me to freak out. And that's reactive abuse, as we both know. That's what she's hoping for, is me to do a big blow up so she can get a sound bite, so she can make a big Nicole Arbour blows up on my set and re-edit the footage and make it seem like she out debated me. Like that's what went through my mind really fast. And I was like, stay calm. And anybody who's seen me on like The View when they tried to scream at me years ago, or BBC when they tried to gotcha me, or different things, I always stay calm in these kinds of situations. And I just stayed calm, and I told her, like, this is disgusting. This is really gross. I can't believe you did that. And it was told to me backstage that she had allegedly been taping all of our phone calls since I met her. Now, do I know if that's true? No. Would I put it past her at this point? No.
And
And
and what's striking to me about this situation too is obviously people at the Daily Wire know what's going on and they supported all of this.
I don't know what they knew about. I really don't know. But everyone at Daily Wire, when I walked in, seemed a little nervous and like a little like, hey, so how's it going? Like when they were so nice and kind, like the other times I'd been in there, I was like, this is an awesome freaking operation. This is how it should be. That's how I thought. That's what I thought the first few times I went there. And then before that, during that show, when I walked in, everyone was really tense and weird, and like they knew something was going to go down. But having, different people chase me out of the building crying, apologizing after, showed me who those people are, showed me that didn't reflect the values of them. You saw the makeup artist that apologized to me. I'm not sure. I know that she moved on from Daily Wire shortly after that. But I don't know if it was co-signed by Daily Wire or not. I really don't know. And I'd like to know, frankly, because Gina, Candace Owens' manager, this is really important for your audience. I'm going to say allegedly, but we all kind of know what happened. Gina allegedly was filming me and in real time giving that footage to my stalkers. And I'm not saying, oh, my stalkers. I mean, at that exact moment, I had a restraining order against those men. They divulged not only where I was to the stalkers, but gave them footage in real time of me. So these guys now knew where I was, they knew what I was wearing, they knew everything, and they were posting it on their social media in real time. And I did a side by side. You could see it. I think you saw that post of the angle Gina was at and the angle that was posted by one of the stalkers.
Yeah, and it was exactly the same.
It looks like he just zoomed in. Yeah.
And I think that people really need to understand this because, and I've heard this anytime I've talked about, my horde online. And yes, Nicole did get introduced to my horde today, which I'm sure was really fun. But I've talked about this with my stuff. It's like these people are actually dangerous. They are not hinged into reality, and it is real life. And so it might seem like this is just like quote unquote drama, but you're a real person that this is happening to.
I'm a real person, and I'm just a comedian and a recording artist. And like I learned through this process that Dolly Parton has the most restraining orders of anybody. And you would never hear someone say online to her, "Oh, what's the common denominator here? If all these people have an issue with you that you have to keep getting restraining orders, what's the issue, Dolly?" It's that Dolly's awesome and people become fixated and they believe they know her. And one of these stalkers had been sending me wedding ring emojis for almost a year, I think. And I thought it was a joke. I thought it must be a joke. And this person seemed to have a few people in common with me. So I was like, oh, okay, they must be joking. But no, they became very fixated on me. And I knew them for a few weeks. And during that time, they were going through a large mental health crisis. And then I just excused myself because it seemed like they were perpetrating something against another woman. And I just walked away, and we were all good to go. We were good to go until we weren't. And for the last year and a half, this guy has posted at least 1,000, but if not thousands of times about me. So I want your audience to imagine that, like, someone you don't really know is making up lies about you. They're trying to find and coordinate with other people, other men that they know you're scared of. And they're making thousands of posts about you. That's really scary. Like if there was someone on the street who 1,000, like 1,000 times came up to you and was like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey," 1,000, you'd be really creeped out. And I don't know why we treat it as anything differently on social media.
No, I completely agree with you. And I've had exactly the same experience where there are thousands of posts about me online from people who I've never even spoken to before. And so it's like it's just ridiculous. But
Yeah.
so Candace didn't stop at that show though, because then she did
Mhm.
several Instagram lives I mean, really trying to drag you through the mud, saying that you weren't a conservative. I mean, just smearing you left and right. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Well, that to me is the least offensive one of what she said. To me, the most heinous thing that she spread is that um, I made false allegations against men and that they were dropped, and then I dropped them because I lied. And nothing like that has ever happened at any point in my life. She just spewed lies. And the smirk that she had on her face while she did it, because she knew I wasn't allowed to talk about it. She knew that victim services had asked me not to talk about it anymore, and that I had this thing with Daily Wire where I was going to allow them to look like I stormed off the set in exchange for my safety, actually, is what it was, and me not, engaging with that further. So it's like a weird thing. If you guys watch my video, you'll see how I break it down for you. But I had to sit there and watch Candace Owens say it to millions of people. And I could see Dana White, the owner of the UFC, coming into her live and like giving like a fist bump. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like massive celebrities and huge creators. I could see them all watching it and like commenting and being like, what the hell? Oh my God, I can't believe she did that. And it's like, I didn't file false charges against someone or fake charges. They weren't proven false. They weren't dropped. These men didn't win in court against me. It's never happened. And the hardest thing, and I'm sure you know this, narcissistic smear campaigns,
Yeah.
they say things that they know you can't refute because it didn't happen. So luckily, court documents are public, and I welcome any of you to find any charges that I ever filed against Ryan Upchurch. I welcome you to do that. I think we can all prove what a liar Candace Owens is, a malicious liar she is. Go ahead and try and find any document that happened. So I'm such an open book on this now, and I'm feeling more empowered about it because what I'm saying is true, and there's no way to refute it when we get down to the facts.
Yeah. And I mean, you're absolutely right about this being a narcissistic smear campaign. I don't know. I've been reading and watching a lot of a guy named HG Tudor lately. Have you
Oh.
come across him? You
Mm-mm.
should listen to his stuff because this guy is a narcissistic psychopath that is completely aware of what he is and why he does things. And he basically explains it all. And he's like, when you are under a malice campaign, here's what to expect. Here is how he even wrote a whole book about if you want to get revenge on your narcissist, like here is exactly what you need to do to do it. But he's
But
fat, but he describes this, and I was thinking about him when I was watching your video because Candace just had this big shit-eating grin on her face when she was talking about recording your phone calls, essentially, and
yeah,
it was like you could see that she was getting so much joy out of trying to provoke this emotional reaction in you. And that to me was the clearest indicator of all. I was like, she's a narcissist. She's
yeah.
doing this to get energy and fuel.
Yes, and I've been studying narcissism. So this has been really traumatic for me. I might seem like super composed right now, thank gosh. This is like a big thing for me to even be talking about, and I'm excited to be honest with people now. But I've done a ton of studying in the last year and a half, and I've done a ton of therapy and went to trauma therapy for these things and studying narcissism. And I didn't know the warning signs, but they're there. And seeing that shit-eating grin, as you said, is an exact, happy people or normal people or people that have normal emotional responses don't get off on hurting people. That's like a telltale sign. When she could tell I was upset, it made her smile. That's a telltale sign that something is not right with that person. And the further that she hurt me and that she knew she was hurting and scaring me, the happier she got. So the only time she broke that on the episode, I don't know if you guys have seen in my video, the clip where I say, everybody, you can get bullied by Candace Owens and survive, or something like that. I'm like, you can survive being bullied by her. I want everyone to know that now, because I knew someday someone would see that fucking footage and I would have survived her smear campaign. I wasn't going to let her take me down. I just want your audience to really imagine, like, someone spreads with millions and millions of prominent, respected followers that you made up that you were raped or whatever it might be, whatever crazy allegation you could think of. They make it up and they spread it to everybody you know. And they just keep pounding it. And they tell everybody you're crazy. And they tell everybody that just everything that they could to possibly hurt you. And you just have to sit there. How would you get through it? I'm on the other side. And I'm going to tell you, talking about it is really cathartic. And there's, you know, I feel like the best thing I can do now is kind of educate people on what to look out for. The best other thing I can do is step away from all of the conservative or even political drama, because I don't think it's helpful to anybody and I don't want to be part of it, and that's not my life. I just want to be funny and I want to help people, and those are like the things I want to do, and make some cool music. So that's what you can do if you're experiencing these smear campaigns and these things. Know that eventually truth comes out. It will if you let it, and if you do it yourself. And then just keep going, because I also have heard some stats about what people do after these kinds of smear campaigns, and the suicide rate that I saw in one study was pretty high, because you can't get your life back after, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely understand. And, you know, I love that you're sending this message out. And I do think it's really important. And I think that the expressing of the story is really important as well. I know after I wrote my book about my story, it was like a weight off my shoulders. And it felt like, okay, I've finally given the world something that people can understand the living hell that I have been through the last couple of years. And you know, I mean, your stuff has actually been going on much longer than what I had to deal with. And one of the things that I just kept thinking is, how did you get through it? Like, how did you maintain like, because I know how you know, you know, I called it my dark night of the soul, which is basically like you reach some of the lowest lows of your life and you think really dark thoughts. And I think that the only upside of going through a dark night of the soul is that you grow tremendously and you find out how strong you really are.
Oh yeah. You know, it's it's interesting. I put it in the video I put out too, is some people might know me as the Dear Fat People girl, because I had so
Mhm.
many videos trend. I had like 1.5 or 1.6 billion views on my videos last year,
Crazy.
like up to last year. And like some people knew me as the Dear Fat People girl, and that's fine. Some people love that video. Some people hated me and hated me for that video. But I only learned in the last year, when working with trauma survivors and going through a lot of therapy I went through in group settings, that when people have been through severe emotional trauma, they might overeat or overindulge to get themselves bigger on purpose, because it separates them. You know, for them, it creates safety and separates them from the padding, or it makes them less attractive if they might have had some kind of sexual abuse. So in their eyes, they feel like they're being less attractive, therefore they're safer. And I didn't know that. Like, if I would have known that, I probably would have done that video a bit differently, but I didn't know. But Dark Night of the Soul, like, the only thing I can think is like, look at all of the growing that I get to do from this, and that I'm going to help other people do from this. And yeah, it's weird because I didn't have a dark night of the soul with this one. I already had that with, I was disabled after a car accident.
Mhm.
Then I spent most of my 20s disabled and fighting chronic pain and trying to come back.
Wow.
And then right as I came back, right as I started doing my life again, that mother trucker, that YouTuber hit me with those fake allegations, purposefully not saying my name to just smear me. And I've been fighting it ever since. So I kind of feel like my life is going to start now, you know? And like, how did I actually get through that? The smear campaigns was good friends, good friends who like knew the truth, and they're like, let's go do something. Let's go do something else. Let's turn off the internet today. They would go toe to toe with people. And they actually, I had one friend put me directly in a bar in Nashville, where they thought people would be thinking bad things about me. They're like, no, you're going out tonight. You're coming with me and this good group of friends, and people are going to see you for who you really are. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And they made me. And I had friends that forced me to keep being social. And whether people thought things about me or not, they're like, they're going to eventually see who you are. So they're eventually going to see who she is. So just keep being you. And I did that. And did it suck? Did I cry myself to sleep more nights than I would ever want to admit? Yeah, I did. Did I get addicted to drugs or something? No, that's not my personality. But
Mhm.
I understand how some people could, because you got to cope in some way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I powered through, and I would have these really sad days, and I would just be like, okay, well, the options are not keep going or keep going. So I've been through this kind of situation before, and I'm gonna keep going and do what I can. And if I actually thought before I put out that video, if I end up with 100 followers because people don't trust me, they don't believe me, they don't whatever, I would rather have 100 good people following me than millions of people that I gained by being a douchebag and cruel to people and destroying people's lives. I would rather have a real community and stand for something that matters and have fun.
You know, and I love that you ended in that place because it's like, you know, I did the same thing. It's like my platform grew really big a couple years ago when people thought I like defected to the conservatives, and then it turned
Uh,
out no, I ended up at the libertarians, where I think you are too, by the way. And so and you know, but I think it's like the you know one of the things I've learned is that I've purposefully driven away a lot of people from my audience because they just weren't a good fit for me. And it's so much better. It's so much nicer. And it's like you have a better community, you have people that want to be there for you, and so like it seems like you ended in that place as well.
I feel like I'm getting there, you know,
Mhm.
like even looking at the comments, because I just posted the video today on my Instagram, and like, listen, I'm going to start living real authentically. So I'm good to have a real chat with. I was scared shitless to post that. I have people that I work with on there. I have close friends and family. I have a lot of work people, like friends and fam on there too. And I was like, oh gosh, well, everyone's going to see this and they're going to see me upset. And this is uncomfortable to watch and this is uncomfortable to make. But if I can't be real, then oh well. So they're going to have to deal with their feelings about my feelings. I don't care. And posted it.
Their feelings are none of your business. All you can do is be you, Nicole. I love it. I think you're
Oh,
great.
thanks. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so because you're a psychologist,
Mhm.
and I saw you kind of jumping into analyst mode while watching Candace's reaction. Is there anything else you noticed that kind of like stuck out to you about the way she was behaving after?
I mean, it was like, you know, the only thing that I took away from it was honestly that it confirmed for me that she has narcissistic personality disorder, because it was like it fired her up, it gave her energy, and again, it was like she was so happy when she was doing. You know, if I ever had anything bad to say about someone, I'm not going to actually like take. I'm not going to take joy in that. Even when I'm saying like Candace Owens is a narcissist, I actually think that that's a really sad thing. I don't think it's positive, and I'm not going to go and do live streams on Instagram where I'm like just ripping people down over and over and over again. And oh, by the way, here's my promo code. Here's my promo code. And so it's so out of touch with what normal human behavior is. But I also think it's emblematic of what goes on in the conservative content creator space, though, which I think you called out really expertly in your video. It's like this is really a space, and it's not conservatives themselves, it's a lot of their influencers that
Mm,
get sucked into this, and it's just mean spirited and it's vitriolic and it's not reflective of who people are in real life.
it's not. It's not. I genuinely don't know what conservatives stand for. I like
Yeah.
that's after living in Nashville, surrounded by conservatives. I genuinely don't know what their list is because they'll say one thing and then I see their influencers acting or living or whatever, even promoting the opposite. And every time I thought I got a hold of it and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what we stand for. I would see the opposite. Like, even I know for a fact that um, guns were not allowed um, on the shoot for one of Candace's shows. So
Really.
yes, and I know
Mhm.
that for a fact, that, a person that was part of an episode was asked to remove his weapon, but I thought that's what you promote. And this isn't supposed to be to attack or anything, and I understand maybe why you wouldn't want someone to have a gun in your show. I get it, but then where are the lines? Like, I genuinely don't know. It's like, "We're pro 2A, we're pro gun." I don't know if she has guns. I don't know if she actually believes that or she just says it because it makes her popular. Or any, I'm not literally not trying to make this just about Candace, like any conservative influencer. I don't know what they stand for as a whole. That's why I just like, I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to tell the truth because I like to tell the truth and make it funny and teach people lessons. And hopefully we all have fun. And you guys can go scream at each other over there because I don't want to play.
and I had exactly the same experience with them where I was lobbying against like critical race theory in schools and stuff like that. And it was the Republicans who ended up skewering those bills. And I was like, hang on a second, you were just complaining about this 2 minutes ago, and now you're actively destroying everything that we're working on. And that was the moment for me where I left like the Republicans and I went to the libertarians because I was like, the libertarians are always gonna lose, but at least they stand for something and they believe in their principles.
I like that. And I also just, I kind of like people. I like the ability to say, oh, I don't agree with you on that one. That's okay. Here, cheers. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. And I think the world is really boring if you sit in an echo chamber. You don't learn anything. You don't have fun. I don't know. I'm not interested. I think it's boring. And I can have my own thoughts on promoting trans or promoting gay or promoting drag shows, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be cruel to those people, and I don't care what you say. I don't have to agree. Like, if you're hurting kids, that's one thing. That's a different topic. Everybody's not a fucking pedophile, okay? Everybody's not a pedophile.
Right.
With calm down. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be cruel to people just because they live differently than me. And that seems, from what I've gathered, to be something that is really promoted in influencer culture on the right, is being cruel to people who are different than you.
I completely agree with you. It has gotten so heinous and just so they're becoming the monster that they claim to hate on the left, and it's just really unappealing. And I hope that stories like yours are a wake up call to them that this is not appealing. Like, and they lost the midterms for a reason. They're driving people away because of how they're behaving.
I agree. I like Dan Crenshaw. I don't know
Mhm.
if you know Dan. Um,
I know him. I don't like him, but that's okay. You're allowed to like him.
that's okay. I might not know why you don't like him, so I might need to learn something. But I liked him when he came out, and I actually helped promote him running and all sorts of stuff because I just thought he was a straight talker. And then the second I promoted him, I got all these conservatives being like, "No, he's a grifter. He's on the wrong side. Now you're
Yep.
doing like." Do you guys send out like a newsletter daily for what I'm supposed to stand for? Because like I can't keep up every day. Oh, I had Tulsi on my podcast, my very
Saw
first.
that.
I love her, and I got so much shit from people being like, "How dare you have Tulsi on your podcast? Like, do you know what she stands for?" And I'm like, I'm gonna ask her what she stands for. Like it's just I can't keep up, but I just think it's negative, and I hope that me posting this Candace thing is cathartic for anybody who has been through it or experienced it. Um, I really sincerely hope that Daily Wire comes to their senses. I'm not saying she needs to be fired. I don't believe in cancel culture. But there should be some kind of human ramifications for actions like that. And they should apologize and try and make it right. But I know they're very litigious, and sometimes instead of admitting fault, they try and sue people into silence. So I'm not sure what they'll do, if they'll do anything. Um, I really liked Jeremy when I met him. I thought he was a very nice man, but I don't know what involvement they had in this. So that will be seen.
Well, we will certainly be following along, and I know you have to run, so I want to be respectful of your time. I do want to display this one super chat from The System is Down. This reminds me of a famous quote I once heard. It was, Nicole, go on The System is Down with Dan Smots, or you're a coward, Carlin Borisenko, probably. Dan Smots is the shadow leader of the Libertarian Party, and so if you have a chance to talk to him, I think you definitely should. You'd have a great time.
Shadow leader, that's hilarious. Cool.
Yeah.
What were you saying? What was the Dave Rubin comment on the way? Were those
Oh, I just said so. I've been trying to explain to people what's going on with like the Daily Wire putting together their PR campaign against Steven Crowder, and I've been telling people they've got three main talking points. Number one, it wasn't a contract; it was a term sheet, which really makes no difference to Steven Crowder's point. Number two, Steven Crowder gave up $50 million, which has no relevance to Steven Crowder's point. And number three, Steven Crowder is a horrible, despicable betrayal of a friend because he would do this, which, given that Candace Owens was recording your phone calls and willing to play them on her show, I also don't think is the point. And apparently, one of my viewers said that Dave Rubin used all three of those talking points today. So
Hmm.
You know, I think this whole thing is a really interesting filtering mechanism to know where people stand, and I always leave room for people to grow and kind of question the choices that they've made, but I want to know people who are real and who actually want to do real things in the real world and not just argue online. I'm kind of like with you on that. I'm so over the arguing and the outrage, and it's mind-boggling. And I think that that's the majority of people, but you know what? They can have it. I'm perfectly fine over here away from all of them.
Yeah, let's be chill and let's be nice humans and explore topics and be funny and live our lives.
Excellent. Well,
Hey,
Nicole, I know we have to wrap up, but is there anything else you wanna offer people today, or direct them where to go to find your stuff?
actually, yeah. I have a pain course, a chronic pain course that I
Oh, cool.
that we are finishing our first class of Pain Free by 2023 right now, and everyone that's graduating is feeling really good. So if anybody has chronic pain, painfreeby23.com. And then yeah, I'm on Instagram. I be Nicole Arbour. Most of my shit is comedy or music. So come on over. Yeah, there's gonna be good vibes over there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for coming on today and sharing your story. And I would love to hear about this other stuff you're doing too. Would you be open to coming back in the future and talking about helping people and other stuff like that?
Let's do it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, thank you for hanging out. And as a reminder, I will be back at 8 p.m. tonight for Tim Pool Watch Party. We're gonna have a great time. All right, take care, guys. Have a great rest.